And that's that. So much for our anthropology report for class. We're done.
Can you imagine harvesting all this fresh meat with just one spear or arrow? What a life of adventure it must have been back then. Think about it, no jobs, no bosses, no paychecks, no crowded supermarkets, no hassle. Just a super fun way to feed your whole family.
This doesn't look like all fun and games to me. This looks like it could hurt you.
This looks like a blast. I wish I could travel back in time and show you how I handle that kind of wild adventure.
Oh, it would be an adventure, all right, but you might not survive. I heard you guys were here working on a project for school. I've got a little extra credit work if you'd like. Here's your assignments.
What? Clovis Kids Challenge?
You can work as a team, but like real survival, there's only one winner. In the end? This sounds like fun. How hard can it be?
I don't know. Survival? Only one winner? Sounds a bit scary to me.
What do we have to lose? Besides, imagine all we might learn.
Step number 1, compare and contrast the challenges and rewards of Clovis kids versus modern youth hunters. Start by decoding hunting tools and lifestyles. Record your findings.
What? How are we supposed to know what happened 12,000 years ago?
Well, the word Clovis is your first clue.
Who were these Clovis people and what made them so special?
Well, they were one of the first people to come into this continent from Asia. Imagine that you were the first Clovis kids here. What did you see? A landscape covered with animals, right? But the really neat thing about them is they hunted mammoths. Big, big, big prehistoric elephants.
Man, look at the size of this thing. How much do they weigh?
This guy's about 8 tons, about 12 foot tall at the shoulder, so twice as tall as your dad, about 80 times more weight than your dad.
So how important was this outdoor lifestyle? And besides, this looks like a great family adventure.
Well, it was an adventure, but it was a dangerous one. And everybody worked really, really hard. Can you imagine butchering an animal that weighs 8 tons? Think of the work. Think about what that animal can do to you. You're there with a spear, just a spear. And that animal can trample you. That animal can take its tusk and hit you. It can take its trunk and pick you up. Think of the danger involved before you even get to this point.
Hunting with a stick? How could you do that? They're so big.
Well, it was more than just a stick. It had a Clovis point on the end, a very, very sharp arrowhead, basically. And it penetrated these animals deeply. It's pretty amazing that you can take down an animal this size with a spear point, but people did it. But they knew how this animal acted. They knew every habit of this animal so that they didn't get hurt.
Okay, so I'm guessing you couldn't go down to your local Clovis Points R Us store and buy one of these things, so how did they get them?
Now, these things were made out of flint, and you had to find a source of flint.
I know what flint is. It's that super weird rock that has a conchoidal fracture, and when you break it, it gets down to a molecule thing.
That's right. It's a silica, basically. And you end up with very razor-sharp edges.
Wow, so they were making innovations back then?
You bet. They had to make innovations. They had to survive. The Clovis point was the latest technology at the time. It's almost like having an airplane for us. It's amazing how advanced it is for its period and how specialized it is for taking down one of these animals. The Clovis point was only a part of the arsenal. They had something called an atlatl. An atlatl is just basically something you hold in your hand. It engages the spear, and when you throw it, it makes your arm longer, so you've got more force and more accuracy. So instead of just having a spear where you can go up to them and stick them, which is very, very dangerous, obviously. Maybe a spear's only 8 feet long. You know, you're pretty close. With an atlatl, you can be 50 yards away.
Oh, new invention. Atto. Third arm lets you throw spear super far.
We're gonna have mammoths coming out of our ears. I go make fire.
No.
So that means you could basically do a sneak attack.
Exactly. And that's probably a big part of the success, the sneak attack.
They were patient, huh?
They had to be. And think about it, this is a grocery store falling in your lap. It's only one item, it's all meat, but it's a grocery store. There's a couple tons of meat here.
Oh, sweet. So that gives us time to collect wood, build a fire. Barbecue time.
So you're telling me this was really, really dangerous. So why risk your life for a couple of meals?
Take a closer look at the diorama. What's that person up there doing?
They're skinning it, right?
Skinning it, right. So, what do you think they did with the hides, or the bones, or a lot of other parts of the animal?
They probably use the fur to help keep them warm in the winter.
Absolutely, or put it over their shelter. And the bones themselves, a lot of tools you can make out of bones.
So this wasn't just a way of life. This was survival. This was a way of subsistence.
Absolutely. This is how you made a living. And if you didn't do this, you didn't live. All right, my young anthropologists, would you still like to be a Clovis kid, or would you want to be a modern person?
You know what? I could totally be a mammoth hunter. This would be easy for me.
You probably could now that you know the secrets. But keep in mind, there's cost and rewards for everything. What are the costs and rewards of doing this?
Well, I think the cost would be that you can die, but the reward is that you get all this meat.
Absolutely.
I'd rather be a modern day hunter because I go hunting with my dad, but that's like little deer. I cannot imagine like an elephant.
Think of all the work when you get a deer in the butchering process. This is a lot bigger, a lot more work.
Definitely.
I think I might want to be a modern hunter too.
Yeah?
But I think I'd like to use stone tools instead.
Yeah, that's probably as close as you're gonna get.
Cool, that covers hunting tools and lifestyles.
So, what about you? Do you think you have what it takes to survive as a Clovis kid and possibly develop the skills to feed your family by collecting wild game?
Here's some things you can do for an online search. Search things like learn archery or youth shooting sports. These will open up helpful pathways that will lead to new skills. What's next?
Collecting wild game?